While, of course, this is not uniformly popular around the country. And in October of 1996, the movement conservatism gets its own new media channel. And this is with Roger Ailes as its founding CEO. Roger Ailes is the guy who packaged Nixon. Remember, I talked to you about that, who carefully picked audiences and all that to package Nixon to hit emotions rather than hitting argument. And the Fox News channel is interesting because it's the brainchild of an Australian, a man named Rupert Murdoch, and Rupert Murdoch is born in Australia, but because a foreign citizen can't own that much of an American channel, he goes ahead and becomes a dual citizen. He becomes an American citizen. So he is Australian born, and he is also responsible for multimedia in England. And I find it fascinating the degree to which Americans handed over control of our political system to one man from anywhere, but certainly from one man who was not originally an American. And I just find that absolutely fascinating. That think of Rupert Murdoch gave us the Fox News channel. And it's really interesting. You can actually find this, and I got to hurry up here because I'm going on too long, but you can find online. It's a little hard to find, but he gives an interview to a newspaper, I think in Australia, early days. And he says, it's like a Burger King. I'm just selling stuff here. And it's clear that he sees a market for this movement conservative language. But at the time, anyway, what he's really interested in is the payoff. And it's interesting to see the idea of ideas being compared to, I believe it really is a Burger King. And like I say, you can find it, at least it didn't used to be hidden. And it certainly would be on the Wayback Machine. I've cited it in a couple of books, and he's not, he's quite upfront about what he's doing. And this is back in the 1990s. And it's not behind a paywall. It's you just got to search for it. Anyway, the Fox News channel is the answer to the movement conservatives' frustration with what they call liberal media. And the liberal media is media that insists on fact-based argument. And again, rather than simply pushing a narrative, the liberal media actually insists on facts. And again, one of the things I try and do in the letters is always use sources. And mind you, yeah, I screw up, everybody does, but always to use sources and say, these are the facts, here are the documents, this is where things are coming from, because that's what media used to do. And that is still what the mainstream media, the liberal media, does. It has sources. It has proof of what it's saying. You have to have at least 2 sources, and you should have 3 to say something for most media networks. And it's interesting to me. I get letters not infrequently saying when I write stuff, I'm just a liberal shill and I'm not looking at the other side, and I should be watching Fox News. And I always say, if you send me the sources, if you prove to me what you are saying, I will publish it. And do you know, I don't have a single person who has ever taken me up on that, which I, again, find fascinating. The idea that somehow my footnotes don't outweigh the idea that there is a narrative out there that must be true, even though I can't prove it. And which is, again, one of the reasons I study ideology, is because what people believe is happening is often more important than what really is happening. Anyway, so because of this, what the Fox News channel does is, and I keep saying this, it is not a news channel. That is the name of the channel, the Fox News channel. The same way the name of a channel is American Broadcasting Corporation, or whatever the C stands for. That's the name of it. And the second paragraph in the terms of use for the Fox News channel, and you can Google this right now, say this channel is for your entertainment. And when Fox News channel personalities like Sean Hannity, who is in court right now, he has a case, I mean, not literally, but in this moment, he has got a case in front of judges right now. When he gets sued for saying something is true when it isn't, or implying something is true, he never actually says it, he implies it. What he says is, I'm an entertainer. This is performance art, and nobody should believe that it's real. And again, I've written about that a number of times recently. I have cited it, and you could Google that right now, Sean Hannity, Hollywood Reporter. And I forget which case it was. I think it was Karen McDougal, but I don't remember, in which his lawyers are literally saying he is an entertainer. You should not take him seriously. Now there's an exception to that. The Fox News Channel does have real reporters. Chris Wallace is a real reporter. He has sources. He tries to get at the heart of what's happening. Brett Baier is a real reporter. Shep Smith was a real reporter, and Shep Smith did a fascinating interview with either Time or Newsweek a number of 2 years ago, maybe, in which he talks about the difference between what he does and what the Fox News personalities do. And he says, "I don't even watch them. I don't have time for that. They're simply entertainment." So anyway, what Rupert Murdoch does, and putting Roger Ailes in charge, is they create the idea of this media channel that looks like a news channel. Their personalities sit behind what look to be news desks, but they also perform a certain kind of America. They tell a story that is the movement conservative story of fighting for the little guy against communism and this large state. They have, generally in the early years, older men who are very domineering, men like Bill O'Reilly, bright, very smart man. But he dominates the scene, and as now we know, he was a sexual harasser, and perhaps I shouldn't say any more than that because I don't remember the case. And they are surrounded by young, subservient women. I believe it's Fox News Channel that pioneers the glass desk, so you can see the women's legs underneath the desk. And they're all blonde, and they are really performing the idea of women who are part of that cowboy mythology. They're doing what men tell them to do. You can do a lot with what's actually happening on the Fox News Channel. Anyway, they use very colorful graphics. They use bullet points for their information. They try and strip all the hard work out of news simply to go ahead and create a narrative that is uncluttered with nuisance. And to hurry the spread of that new channel, Murdoch offered $10 per subscriber to each cable company that carried the Fox News Channel. And even still, Fox News Channel money does not come from advertisers. Every time that someone says, "Oh, boycott Sean Hannity," they don't care if you're boycotting Sean Hannity, because their money comes from cable fees. You are supporting the Fox News Channel by the cable fees you pay. They make a much higher percentage of cable fees than almost any other show. I think ESPN might be higher, but I actually don't study those channels, so I don't know. All right, so increasingly, the Fox News Channel presents a world that resonates with rural Americans who, increasingly hate taxes and increasingly are afraid of these people they're being told are dangerous by people like Rush Limbaugh. And Fox News becomes a major political player really quickly. By the 20,000 election, the 2000 election, I'm sorry, 17.3% of Americans are watching the Fox News Channel, and 3 to 8% of them move from being Democrats to being Republicans after watching the Fox News Channel. And one of the things that Republicans figure out, the movement conservatives figure out, is that, and this is really sort of chilling, is that what they need to do to get their way is continually to push what is acceptable behavior and acceptable language in America to the right. It's called the Overton window, after a theory by a man named Thomas Overton, who works at the Mackinac Center for Public Policy, who says that there's a window of things people will accept. So you got to just keep pushing it further and further right, so that things that were unthinkable before are now okay. And here's one of the places where you can see that happening in America with the fact that when Donald Trump first went into office, if you remember when Ivanka got an office in the White House, everybody went ballistic and said, "You can't do that, it's against the law, and nepotism."